Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We are at 30621 South Oswalt Road here in Colton. We are located on the right side of the home. That's as you face the front door from the street. Same side of the house as the air conditioning unit is on. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. We are zeroed out and off we go. Well, so far here, great looking sewer line. My camera's upside down right now, but little to almost no grease buildup in the line. And you'd think that septic lines would all be that way, because grease is a big no-no on septics, but it's, they're some of the greasier lines I look at, honestly. So this is looking great so far. If you are new to septic, that is a big, big item you want to keep up with. You don't want any grease going down these things. Cooking oil, grease, obviously things like wipes, flushable wipes. You want to keep it to folded toilet paper, stuff that disintegrates and breaks down easily. But where grease really gets you on these things, in the immediate, it can help contribute to blockages in the line. But where it gets you in the long run is that grease, because it floats, it rises to the top of the water in the septic tank and it floats off into the drain field. And that grease will clog up the drain field pipes. And once that happens, it is very difficult to rectify. You can clean them out. They're not like a main lateral, though, where you can just go hydrojet everything off into oblivion for the city to deal with. Out here, all those pipes dead end into the ground. So they are very, very difficult to deal with when they get overly gunked up. And cleaning them out usually requires you're digging gigantic holes to reverse jet and drag everything back into a pit in the ground. It's not your run-of-the-mill, $300 to $500 drain cleaning job. So, anyway, it's a very good idea to keep up on the grease thing. We just hit the tank connection here. We're going to go locate. Thus far, fabulous looking line. And I have cambered, I cannot tell you how many septic lines out there. They are usually a lot more prone to settling issues, especially right before the tank. This thing was installed very nicely. You've got a little bit of settling here, but it's extremely minor relative to most septics. I can almost always tell you when I'm within 3 to 5 feet of a septic tank, because nearly all of them will end up with a belly with about an inch or more of standing water in the last 5 feet. It's so consistent that I could usually tell you just before the tank connections. So it's nice to see one of these things that was put in nicely. Anyway, this is the drop here. It goes into the tank. We're going to go locate that to verify it while the line drains off. Alrighty, just located the camera head, and the tank lid is exposed right now. The line kind of heads to the rear right, towards the rear right corner of the property. This was like a regular sized lot. Essentially rear right corner of your average sized lot. It's about where you're going to find that tank. In fact, it moves off at a pretty straight line, just at a slight angle away from the house, towards the kind of rear right portion of the property here. Anyway, you have little to almost no settling there at the end of the line. That's not even going on my report. It's so minor. You had like maybe a 32nd of an inch of water in that last foot of the line. It's extraordinarily minor. That's not the kind of settling issues we're looking for. That's belly from a hyper technical standpoint. So what you have here on the sidewalls there, that little thin layer of stuff, that is a little bit of grease. Relative to most homes, this is absolutely spotless. Mostly pointed out, if you dump a lot of grease down your line, it will build up. That's a very good habit there to keep up with. And once we get back to the home here now, the line's fully drained off. We're going to run the camera backwards to the foundation wall. I do believe this is slab foundation, so normally I don't mess with a lot of stuff underneath homes, but this is one where you simply cannot see the sewer line without a camera. No crawl space to go into. Immaculate, I mean, especially for a septic line. For whatever reason, they are just more prone. I've done almost 25,000 sewer scopes at this point in time. I'm sure at least Probably about 1,000 of those have been septic lines. It's very, very common to have issues with these things. I don't know why it ends up that way, but they are far more prone, especially to settling problems and root intrusions. They just go through a lot more foliage and wilderness and whatnot. It's not the same type of land you typically deal with. There's certainly a little bit of gunk in the cast iron here. Some of this almost looks like it may have been from I mean, you got cobwebs in here. It looks like this part of the line hasn't been used in forever. I'm gonna have to go inside and take a look at the plumbing in there and run some water to see if it's possible the piece of pipe going past about here does not get used very often, and entirely possible it's been abandoned. When slab foundation homes get updated, it's often done differently than your average sewer line because of the slab. They often will reroute things because it's easier and cheaper. Not saying that's the case here, but wouldn't surprise me. Let's put it that way. So this right here almost looks like it might be the vent. I'm not going to ram past this too far. I just really cannot tell what we're going into here. You know, I'm going to have to feel a little silly here. I don't know if I heard someone mention slab foundation, but I had that in my head. This actually appears to be on crawl space, except for a little part of the house. So I just turned the kitchen sink as well as the bathtub on. I also flushed the toilet. Single bathhouse, very simple plumbing configuration. We'll see if any of that stuff routes in here right towards the end of the line. Because I have both those fixtures actively running right now. Okay, so from the looks of it, do we have water coming in? Oh, we do have water. Okay, so they tied it all in. So they did what I was assuming they had done. So it looks like a portion of this line back in here was just basically abandoned from what I can tell. I've got, again, both the kitchen sink and bathtub actively running right now. You can see no water's routing through here. And with the kind of sediment you have in the flow line, that's what that looked like. So anyway, what you have here are the fixtures tying in just before the line leaves the house. This actually might be just barely on the outside of the foundation wall where these tie-ins come in. But this is where your toilet and your sinks end up tying in the line right there. So it looks like pretty much everything meaningful. What I can't tell you is what the drains look like that run from those fixtures over to where they tie into the main line. If those are still original, my assumption is they're probably updated, mostly from the standpoint of they had to reroute piping, and usually that indicates they probably updated the drain lines that come off those fixtures, would be my assumption. But being that it's crawl space, that stuff is probably visible down there when the home inspector goes in there. So anyhow, as it relates to the main line, that's what I focus on. We have great flow end to end here. All the pipe is in good condition and superbly clean to boot. Sewer line is functioning properly at this time. Great looking sewer line there.